Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Happy day. Good sunrise. Oh, the beautiful sun and you beautiful stars. You're shining so brightly. Whew. I was running to the computer, y'all. So I'm a little bit disheveled. Um, a couple of announcements before we pick our sacred geometry card together. Hello, I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light. This is live Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are talking about pole shifts. This is going to be like a three-part series. And I see that Seeker of Truth came in. Good to see you and Neil, my dear. The book that we are in today, Pole Shift by John White. The reason I was running to my computer is because this book is phenomenal. I was not expecting that. Yes, had I thumbed through it before and I went, whoa. But then this morning, I was going back to my notes and thinking, oh my goodness, how do I even cover all of this wonderful material? What I'm telling you is probably not going to happen today, probably not going to happen next week. But if this is a topic, the pole shifts or pole shift, even though different things will be shifting, as we're going to talk about today. This material, Pole Shift by John White, is written so wonderfully in kind of a journalistic way that he covers, and it is small print, so you know, he covers different science theories around the pole shift into a ton of different psychics who talked about it. He covers so much in this material. I was uh, magically surprised. I don't know what words to use as to how great of a book this is. If you are interested in this topic, I put a link in the description for you to purchase this book. I am a part of an Amazon Associates, and a lot of the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light get like different book lists with links that they can purchase books. Um, so because this is such a good book, I attached the link that you can purchase through. So I get a little bit of kickback from this video, right? Even if it's in book form or whatever form it may be. Um, through that link. I was just not expecting it to be this good. So with that being said, we're not going to get through all of this. Not right now, folks, because I do have an agenda. I do. I do have this platform that I have to use. And so to get through all the great material in here would take quite a lot of time. What I am thinking though is either this will be gone through thoroughly with us here, either in late 2025 or early 2026, because it is so good that I really do want to go through it more thoroughly with everyone, regardless if you purchase it or not. But I'm trying to extend that invitation to use the link below to order it, because if this is a topic that uh, I don't know, resonates with you, you really want to know a lot about it, this book is great for it. With that being said, so that's the one announcement of how, and I'm sorry, the camera keeps moving. That is the first announcement of how awesome of a book this is. And what an interesting way of how I came about it. It's not easy to find books about the pole shift. It's not easy to find material out there anyways, or material that we don't already know. And when I was traveling this in March earlier this month, because we're recording this in March 2025, I am live. When I got off the plane going into Illinois, I actually flew into Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, if you guys don't know, they have a great little airport. I mean, it's actually one of my favorite airports. But my carry-on actually got checked without me knowing. Long story, folks. So I had to hang out in the Milwaukee airport to then drive down into Illinois, into Northern Illinois, where I needed to be. Um, I had to hang out there for like 4 or 5 hours to retrieve my luggage. Long story. But they have this awesome, like, really good used bookstore inside the Milwaukee airport. It's actually a great little airport. It's a like I said, it's probably one of my actually, it probably is my favorite. Out of small airports, yeah, it probably is my favorite as that I've experienced so far. And so I'm in this bookstore with my friend who had picked me up and who was willing to sit around with me for 4 or 5 hours in an airport. Oh, goodness. Um, and I'm looking through stuff, just going through my usual, looking at all the different sections, and all of a sudden this book is there. And I went, "No flipping way. I have been struggling to find something, that I can read and use and give to y'all and, you know, to really drive home a few key ideas." And lo and behold, this magical great book that was published in 1980. So some of this stuff in here is a little bit out of date, but a whole lot of the scientific theories are still in question today. Some of the psychic ratings in this, it's like, yeah, we already went through 1999. Nothing happened. Sorry, But I would say maybe that's only 15% of what's in this book. Everything else, it's like, ooh, powerful. So, out of happenstance of a misfortune of having to hang out in an airport, and that was my first round. The second round of coming home took 16 hours in airports. I found this. This book is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, and we're gonna be in it today. Oh, and see, Shelly just said it was meant for you, sister. Exactly, isn't that wild? I That book has never even come up on any Google search, any theoretical search, any scientific search, nothing. Lovely Mr. John White, he wrote great stuff. He wrote wonderful stuff. He also wrote, or he was the editor of uh Future Science. I mean, he writes very well as well. I mean, this guy writes. Oh, how people used to know how to write. Makes me happy. Um my second announcement before we draw a card together. With that being said, that I will eventually get into that material, The Pole Shift, by John White. With that being said, I was told, I don't know, a couple of years ago that last summer I was supposed to actually go into the sun, the sun. That was supposed to be y'all's last summer, our last summer together. But that didn't happen. Human free will, it's how I roll, no matter with what. Um, so moving into the spring and summer, we are going to head into an extensive study of the sun from not just science of the sun, but all sorts of ancient stuff from Zoroaster to Egyptian to the Essene to Christ to, like I said, science to probably back to the pole shift to the psychics, Edgar Cayce. What does he say about the sun? From Manly P. Hall to Rudolf Steiner. That is our spring and summer here, folks. The sun in great depths. In great depths. Because I can't just talk about the sun without telling you who's talking about it, what's going on, right? So we are going to be studying how basically everything is about the sun. Everything. You beautiful star. That is our spring and summer because I'm finally getting to it. So with that in mind, spring and summer is also a very busy season, or 2 seasons, I should say, of a whole lot of extra for everybody. I know Shelly, Secret Truth 2 here that's in the chat. I'm sure she's already having to start till gardens and get things going because the season is upon us. So because it's a lot of extra, because it's, just all the seasonal extras, as we know as adults here, I am going to start rotating shows because when I did not do the Edgar Cayce life skill studies this past Wednesday. I just could not get to it, which made me realize last year the reason why we didn't do all the Sun series, which is going to be a very long, extensive series, is because I just stopped doing Friday mornings entirely. Because that will be a Friday morning live series. And I was focusing on the Edgar Cayce. If I were to do all of my videos every week, it would be 3 to 4 videos a week. That's pretty extensive, guys. That's a lot of time to prepare, read, talk to y'all, especially in the season of all the extras. So what I have decided is that I am going to rotate. So if we're here on Friday morning together, then we're probably not together for Edgar Cayce. If we're here for Edgar Cayce, then we're probably not together on Friday morning. I'm going to be flippy floppy as the polls flippy floppy, right? I'm going with the energy of the flippy floppy. I'm going to flip every week. Either we're here with Edgar Cayce on a Wednesday or we're here on a Friday the following week doing one of the sun messages. It really does have to kind of go that way, folks, because I know I don't want to miss unintentionally. I don't want to miss because it's hard to get to y'all and then feel crappy about it. I don't want to feel bad, right? I don't want to disappoint when I don't show up. So I am going to be rotating through things. Now you will still get at least 2 messages once a month, or 2 messages a month from Archangel Gabriel that are released on Sunday. The last message was released this past Sunday and not too many people have seen it. So I also am aware of, I found out Saturday night that many people are not getting the announcements for this channel. Many. So please go back and make sure that your bell, my bell, is rung, because a lot of people are not receiving the announcements. So there is a message from Archangel Gabriel that is out, that came out this past Sunday. So between the Akashic, Zodiac monthly messages, the Gabriel messages, the Saturday nights with Lucky Stone 888 and I for Esoteric Tea, those are still all in play. I'm going to bounce back and forth between doing Edgar Cayce on Wednesday and or Friday morning live. That is going to be my spring and summer schedule because I kind of am going to need it to be. So I know, and with that too, I'll be able to post when the shows will air. So I know those were a couple of announcements that took quite a while. That is more for the community here at Stars of the Morning Light that like to be together in the chat and be with me live. If you are new here, welcome. We are a community here. We actually, everyone here talks quite a bit, and we're helping us walk through the expansion process. So, with that being said, this Saturday night, I am over at Lucky Stone 888 for a live feed about do our minds help us heal? So, the power of the mind. Let's pick a card, everybody. Sacred geometry for this message. Ooh. card for this message. Wow. This is wanting to make me dig. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. And it was this. Oh, it is it. Sorry. That was making me dig. That was making me really feel. And the first card was right. This is definitely right. This is definitely right. It's what we're talking about. Oh, beloved cards. My cards always know that no wonder you made me dig. Number 28. Gaia. The lovely earth that we live on, folks. The frequency of Gaia reminds us that we are infinitely connected to one another, just as we are to the Great Mother and to the universe that birthed us. So, this sacred geometry, as I hold the card up, Gaia, is to remind us of how we're all connected, how we're connected to her, the universe, the SUN, we're all connected. Oh, that's beautiful. Let me pull back some. Oh, that's so beautiful. That's beautiful. It's interesting because they have a card for Gaia, and then they also have a card for Earth. So it's like this is the energy when Earth also holds its own energy. It's a lovely card. That's the card of connection. So like I said, beautiful beings, welcome. Thank you for saying through those announcements. I was a little bit kind of scattered when I sat down real quick. This book, man, we are going to probably go through this in depth at one point. I am always humbly, when I am surprised at how certain books can be so good, I love it. It humbles, it's such a humbling surprise, and it is so nice. Kind of, in my opinion, a little bit rare to find in today's world. So I'm going to kind of read, I'm going to start reading. I'm actually in the first chapter, but this is the closing of the first chapter. Because he writes it so well as to what the intent is with this book that I wanted to read that to you. And then we're going to start bouncing around. Some of the stuff that we're going to cover today, it might just be a quick like retelling because like I said, this is it's a massive book of about 400 pages, very small print. So to cover all of it, even all my notes, I had to go back and go, we're not going to be able to cover all that. So we'll do a pretty good job though. I think so. I see Big Dad standing tall came in. Good morning, sir. Or good sunrise to you, Neil. All right. So he's talking about the pole shift, of course. These questions have not been answered in a satisfactory manner so far. And sometimes the answer to one contradicts the answer to another. Science is often at odds with itself, as we shall see. It is for this reason that in the 19th century, T.H. Huxley wrote regarding the sanctity of certain scientific pronouncements. This is a quote from Huxley. Theories do not alter facts, and the universe remains unaffected even though texts crumble. To try to answer these questions, come with me now on a journey through time and space, a journey that will eventually pass beyond the physical world and enter the metaphysical. Our object is to examine what seems to be the most mysterious motion of our planet, pole shifts. Along the way, we will explore many fascinating topics. We will consider lost civilizations, occult traditions, the evolution of man, and the life in the next century. We will also listen to ancient prophecies and contemporary psychics. And as we press to the frontiers of knowledge, our search will ultimately require us to understand humanity's relationship with the universe. We will find, paradoxically, that that outer space and inner space merge, that the past and the future unite. We begin our journey inside the Arctic Circle. That was how he ended chapter 1. I am telling you all, this book is amazing. He opens it with this. Whirling like a gyroscope, our planet moves through space. Its motion is extremely complex. It spins, revolves, wobbles, nods. At the same time, its internal system swirls, heaves, subsides, drifts. The result the result is an multi multi-dimensional web of cycles within cycles within cycles. So those who have been here at Stars of the Morning Light for a very long time, have you not heard me talk about the cycles and the cycles and the cycles? We hear so many people talk about timelines. There are multiple timelines within a cycle. And now you have a John White saying it in the first paragraph in the first chapter. I will read it again. The result is is a multi-dimensional web of cycles within cycles within cycles. Some are regular and dependable guides to the future. Others are erratic and surprising, often dangerous. Sunrise and tides, lunar phases, the seasons, these are all accurately known. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, droughts, these are not. Do you know that the cycles that he's referring to by the end of all this material, he is talking about cycles, ending and beginning, ending and beginning. We have been prepping ourselves for this for a very long time. And the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light, by the end of today, you are going to receive the message for April for the collective, when they also say they have been talking to you all for 6 years about this. And if it wasn't through me, then it was definitely through downloads, as you would say. Our planet completes one rotation on its axis in 23 hours, 53 minutes, and 4.091 seconds, producing day and night. It orbits the sun at an average distance of 93 million miles in 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 45.51 seconds, producing a year. Its equator is inclined The equator is inclined or plane of Earth's orbit at the Earth's orbit at an angle of 23 degrees 45, producing the seasons. So he even was trying to tell you then. I find that how he opens it with, hey, real quick, this is what you're walking on. This is the Earth. This is what you got going on here. And then ends it with, let's go on a journey. Let's talk about all this. In the middle of that chapter, so we're still in chapter 1. This is where we're going to be paying attention to a bit today, is the magnetic field. Remember, I held up last week. If you haven't seen the first episode to this series, I talked about Edgar Cayce and what he said. So how this series is going to go is we're going to the first episode was which was last Friday. We covered what Edgar Cayce said. Today we're covering this, but we're going to base it off of the first episode. So please go back and watch it. I am going to be creating a playlist with these. And then next week, just like our Edgar Cayce life skill studies, I'm going to bring what psychics of the past might need to say of the now. I'm going to bring it 100 years forward. I'm going to bring it forward with explanation, and I'm going to tell you what the Akashic says about current. I'm going to do a little bit of that today. So, the magnetic field, as I held this picture up before, the magnetic field. Another mysterious aspect of our planet is its magnetic field. This field, generally attributed to the nickel iron core of the Earth, acting as a domino due to the convection currents in the mental, facilitates in strange ways. Magnetic field, torrid field. First, the strength of the magnetic field varies, sometimes dropping to zero. Second, the magnetic poles wander as much as 80 degrees over the past millions of years. The magnetic poles should not be confused with the rotational poles, which are the geographical ends of the axis of the spin. At, at present, so in 1980, when this book was published, at present, the magnetic North Pole is in northern Canada, about 11 degrees away from the true North Pole. So when we are talking about energy, magnetic poles, for some reason, everybody just assumes, like this picture, it's straight top and bottom. This is how it goes. But I remember reading that in high school, that the magnetic north was actually more in Canada. And we all associate it that way as well. And remember last week, I also held up this image that you yourself have the same kind of magnetic pole. So take that in. Images are maybe not as accurate as to how the magnetic pole will shift. It's not the same as the rotational pole. Third, the magnetic field reverses polarity. So, in other words, the energetic field reverses polarity. More than 170 polarity changes or field reversals have occurred during the past 80 million years. All this has been learned only in the past 3 decades through through study of Paleomagnetic magnetism, paleomagnetism. Ooh, it's the study of the magnetism of rocks. They're learning this. Although scientists know very little about the field and its daily, yearly, long-term changes. It is known, however, that at this very moment, the Earth's magnetic field strength is decreasing. Over the past 2,500 years, it has weakened by 50%. If this trend continues, the field will disappear altogether, perhaps as soon as early in the next century, and then presumably reappear with reversed polarity. J.M. Howard predicted in a science journal called Nature in 1976 that the next reversal of the planet's magnetic poles will occur about AD 2030. The time involved in the magnetic pole shift is unknown. So, let's read that again real quick. It is known, however, that at this very moment, the Earth's magnetic field strength is decreasing. Over the past 2,500 years, it has weakened by 50%. If this trend continues, the field will disappear altogether, perhaps soon as early as the next century, and then presumably reappear. And we're going to learn a little bit more about this. It will reappear with reversed polarity probably about the time of 2030. All right, beloveds, before I continue, do know if you ever can come to an in-person class or visit Stars of the Morning Light on Patreon, please do so, because I talk about how you having the same kind of magnetic pole within you, same kind of torrid field within you, is what determines how much the Earth's pole decrease or increase or changes, what have you. Before I continue, so they just said it could actually be completely gone by 2030. I'm going to bring you back to January 2025, Akashic Yearly Collective Message. "2025 will begin the process of change. A cycle will end in 32 years. Now is the design time for how it will end. A new dawn with balanced life force is the motivative energy present in 2025 or mid 2025. So I remember January, and it's there. You all can, there's a 2-part series about the full Akashic message here for the collective. I do remember telling you that, as they even said at the beginning with this message, so I'm going off of an Akashic message for 25 yearly. The collective human race, past, present, and future, has changed greatly since the year 2023. Remarkable balance of the stem of life is entering into a new dawn of humanity. Now, please note, the number originally for for the onset, and I mean like a kind of a harsh onset of a cycle ending, and it was going to be harsh, was 2030. Was 2030. Then it was, I'm saying past tense. You all have changed things greatly. You beautiful stars shining brightly. Thank you for getting your vibes up. That's the whole point of that. Thank you for getting your vibes up. Conscious levels. Consciousness is frequency. Frequency is consciousness. So originally, I will tell you, years ago, I was told that the great shift would really start in 2030, and it would be pretty dramatic. And then we would have a very dramatic in 2052. Y'all have been changing that. Yay! That's what we're going to learn about by the end of today. It is up to us. It is up to us. Now, will a cycle end? Yes, y'all, that's what happens. We're just living through it. This is not anything humans have not done before, right? A cycle will end. That's fine. That's fine. To what degree of danger, damage, catastrophic things, that is based on us. Because imagine if we keep our vibes up, then her magnetic, right? Because these two are they play together. They play together. Then these two magnetic fields, ours and hers, that are joined together, all is energy. If we can sustain getting our vibes up, focus on the earth, her declining magnetic field to do the magnetic reversal will be so much smoother, so much nicer. We're here to support her. That's what our job is. And because so many of the collective are awakening to what people are referring to as like the Christ consciousness, higher self. I don't really care what they put the name on it because it's all about the earth, anyways. Dates have changed. Y'all have done so good. I'm so happy. 2025 will begin the process of change. The cycle will end in 32 years. So that's 2057 from right now. That can also continue to change based on y'all. Now is the design time for how it will end. A new dawn with balanced life force is the motivative energy present mid 2025. What I also want to point out in the same yearly reading, this is for this year, humans will come to understand the connection of all things by 2092, after much care that starts now. I didn't really go into this as much as I knew that I would right now. I'm going to read it again. Humans will come to understand the connection of all things by 2092, after much care that starts now. It starts now because we know a shift is happening. We know things are coming. We know of the split that people are talking about. We know things called like timeline shifts. We know the polar shifts. We know splits between different polarities, consciousness, what have you. We're aware of these things. We're also taking personal responsibility for our own energy and frequencies and vibrations. We are doing so much. So now that the beginning and the end are all happening simultaneously over a chunk of time, over a chunk of time, we're going to handle it so much more that even when there might be volcanic eruptions or horrible tornadoes and tsunamis and catastrophic things like that, not earth ending, humanity ending, but global impact of sorts, we as humans will come together, hopefully, and I think we will, and begin to understand our relationship to all things more and more and more, to the point that we will go through such a big transition period starting now. 2025 will begin the process of change. The cycle will end in 32 years. Now is the design time for how it will end, based on y'all's energy. A new dawn with balanced life force is the motivative energy present mid 2025. So when we hit mid 2025, which we will this summer, when I'm talking about that beautiful SUN, be present here at Stars of the Morning Light. Humans will come to understand the connection of all things by 2092 after much care that starts now. That was a part of the Akashic yearly message for 2025. We will continuously be going back to that. So I will keep going. So, yes, do y'all see where I'm kind of headed with this? This material here is so good that I will probably go back to it in the fall, early 2026, something like that. Because I do have an agenda. I love y'all, but I definitely have to have an agenda. I see that Scotty Boy came in. Good to see you. Good day, sir. So, with that all being said, I hope you all feel okay with this. That you feel okay with it. This is um not to shake you, not to make you nervous, cuz I know how much work you all have been putting in to begin to shine and to let go and to relax in the knowing that being a human is the ultimate. So then this book goes into the Ice Age, mammoths, all sorts of stuff. I mean, this book is wonderful. But I'm going to bring us back to somewhat of a magnetic field concept again. And because that is my focus for today moving forward. And remember, it said a reversal of polarities, a reversal of poles. So this information that I'm about to read is from Peter Warlow. Hmm. Scientist, yes. I will tell you, after you read everything from Peter Warlow, he's going to say that he thinks this is going to happen in like a blink of an eye. This is going to happen in a matter of hours. Everything's going to shift. We're going to lose our magnetic field. Basically, it's the end. That's how he's going to come to a conclusion. I will also say, before I read any of this, that in the science world, nothing that he talks about has been at all proven. There's so many people that talk against him, but in this section, he does talk a lot about the reversal of the magnetic field, and that's why I want to bring it up. Because other portions of this material would talk about other aspects, especially the Ice Age and all the different stages. Because the Earth is not a rigid body, however, and not perfectly symmetrical, it seems to Warlow that it is delicate balance need not to be inverted a full 180 degrees each time. What is likely, he writes, is that a series of events occur, each varying in degree of completeness of the reversal, and including mirror tilts, so that the planet is left rotating about different poles between events. These intermit, okay, pole positions would then be recorded in rock magnetism according to the apparent magnetic polar wandering. So studying the rock's magnetism is what we just call, I'm going to actually go back to that word and spell it for y'all if you're, that was on page. So the study of the rocks and the magnetism that they have to show how many times a cycle has began and ended, and what this earth has gone through. I know I was not pronouncing this perfectly right. It is PALEOMAGNETISM. Polyomagnetism. Sure. That is the study. So Warlow also studied that. For such a reversal of primary spin continues with a little disturbance and the magnetic field therefore remains more or less fixed with respect to space. The earth is turned upside down or so that for an observer for an observer on the surface there is an effective reversal of the magnetic field with respect to his frame of reference. So I'm going to hold up an image. This is what Warlow thought would happen in a blinking of an eye. This image right here. And he picked that up from playing with like a spin top, a child's toy that you would spin and see where it falls. He and most people, when they talk about this big pole shift, I'm bringing him up for two reasons. He talked about the magnetic field, which we're going to get back to, but he also there's different varying degrees to these scientists as to how much of the pole is actually going to shift. And Warlow really talked about, oh no, the whole damn thing. 180 degrees, folks. Like we're gonna do a big flippy floppy. And that was the image he would try to say. Like we're gonna do it, even though it's going to appear over time, some of those big shifts were going to happen drastically. Like kind of imagine you're on an angle. I'm gonna do this. Kind of imagine you're here. This is the pole, and we're going and we're shifting and we're shifting and we're shifting, right? And throughout all of this shift, we are experiencing tsunamis, tornadoes, all sorts of things, right? Well, then when it would get to a certain maybe 40, not a little bit more than a 45, there would have to be a significant boom, plummet. Because we're thinking about an axis, right? We're thinking about spinning, we're thinking about moving in what is represented as a circular motion. So even if this is a straight line and I'm trying to do this best for you. I was not prepared to do it this way, but we're at a pole, and let's say the north starts moving and moving. Okay, so this is what we'll be walking through. Walking through. Warlow was more of the type that he would say at some point, though, there would be a big drop, kind of a big drop. So it's a massive rebalancing and then kind of back into a slow progression into a flip. And then it would be balanced, but then it would have to bounce down again. My hand is getting in the way. But then if we're here, it would be another significant drop and then a slow tilting again. Now, beloveds, I hope you followed that because that was a horrible demonstration there. Um, so, what I do want to say is that there are some things with Warlow that I disagree, and then there are some things that I do agree. And a lot of people do not discuss that aspect. But that is why the Akashic will say things. The beginning process of change is now. The beginning of the end of the cycle is now. But they're not saying that we're not going to have a end in a way. We're not going to have a big end for another 32 years until like 2050 something, right? Because that big end that people are worried about or think about, it's when it's going to be that we're tilting, we're tilting, we're tilting, we're tilting, we're tilting. Oh man, we got to kind of drop a bit. That is when it will shift and we will actually This is when we get into more things of like the Edgar Cayce map, where the Great Lakes will then all of a sudden start draining into the Mississippi, into the Gulf, where unfortunately in California, right? Unfortunately, a lot of the East Coast. It is because we're going to be going and going and going. And this can take even longer. Nothing is written in stone. Going and going and going. But there is going to be a point that it's got to do kind of a boom. It's got to kind of shift in a greater way to get to where it needs to be. Now, in the meantime, though, we got some time to prepare. We got some time to even make that kind of jump or that little fall. Let's say it's a fall, not a jump. It's a fall. To make that fall a little bit nicer, right? A little bit easier, we can do a whole lot of things. And one of that is how are we supporting her through this, right? And this goes into a whole lot of different prophecies. It really does. From earthly prophecies to cosmic prophecies. It really does. So with that though, the biggest difference, and this is why I'm focused on the magnetic field, is the harshness of that kind of quick fall that would have to happen, right? The harshness of that is going to be based on how well our magnetic field is sustaining her magnetic field. Imagine if that magnetic field is at 0 when that were to happen. Now that would be an issue, now wouldn't it? We help sustain her magnetic field by using our magnetic field. This is the whole point of get your vibes up. The whole point. It's really the only point. It's really. But how do we do that? We do that by healing ourselves, helping others to heal, education, experience. Consciousness is frequency. Frequency is consciousness, right? Right? All you beloved stars, burning brightly, burning, burning brightly. Oh my goodness, I'm looking at the time. I'm going to keep going. I'm taking out some stuff, taking out some stuff. Let's talk about some psychics. I do want to point out though, because I do have to read this. Warlow also, to give him some credit, he also would cite like historical and ancient legends and texts. Um, for example, the Egyptians claimed that the sun had reversed its direction 4 times within 341 generations, or about 11,340 years. So when we get into the ancient texts of things and the reversal of stuff, the reversal of the sun, the reversal of polarities, the reversal of the poles, know that most ancient cultures, as we're going to talk about the Hopi at the very end of this, they all will refer to this as a cycle ending. A new cycle begins. A cycle ending, a new cycle begins. And that all humans have lived through. Y'all are listening, you probably have lived through at least one or two of them in your past lives, right? Cycles end. Many timelines in between, right? Many lives lived in between. The Egyptians claim that the sun had reversed its direction 4 times within 341 generations, or about 340 years. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? I am going to actually go to he's got a lot of psychics in here. I was not expecting that at all. I'm going to go to one that you might not know of, Ruth Montgomery. I believe she was out of Washington State. Um, get to the page. Let me get to Ruth. I actually like Ruth Montgomery. There are some psychics in this material that I could give or take. There were some that, clearly 1999 passed. Everybody was so, fixed on the turn of the millennial or the millennium that, most psychics before that were, oh, it's going to happen in 2000 or 99. Now that's come and gone, people. We lived through that too. See? But Ruth is pretty good. So I'm gonna read Ruth, and I knew of Ruth before, so I was surprised she was in here. So this is from Ruth Montgomery, a psychic, and I do believe she was out of Washington. Now I'm not gonna go into all of this also, so everyone knows this material, as we will probably go through that much later, like I said, in this year or early 2026 to continuously prepare people for things. A lot of the documentation from the psychics also report, what parts of the ocean are going to sink parts of the land into the sea, what new land will appear, all sorts of things. What, what lakes will dry out and what deserts will have water. So this is from Ruth. According to the guides, the shift of the axis is a natural event in the life of the planet. It is not within the scope of human ability to alter. Immutable divine law is beyond it, and therefore it must be regarded as a soul cleansing process. That was in quotations. However, the guides remark our present use of fossil fuels at such a rapid rate is hasting the shift of the axis. In the late 1990s, they added that our tinkering with solar and nuclear forces is an additional factor. The crucial one, however, will be the volcanic eruptions. Contrary to those who claim a large meteorite will collide with the Earth, knocking it off balance and shifting the poles, the guides do not see any such event. The cooling trend in the early 80s, plus cyclones of increasingly velocity, will herald the alteration of the Earth's position in relation to the sun. Before I continue on with Ruth, beloveds, I was telling the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light just this past Sunday that I am going to be able to reveal more now because there's evidence now. It is hard for me to be able to reveal things in, let's say, a prophecy way when I don't have any evidence because, well, the world likes evidence and it gives the prophecy credibility, right? So that's a whole lot of next week. But I do want to emphasize something right now. Never, ever since I don't know, childhood, being able to, as a psychic, reading all the material I did to today of being an Akashic messenger, all of it, it was never a comet. I have never once been told a comet is going to hit the earth. Never once. I have always been told this is a natural progression of the earth. But it is up to us as to in what degree all of this is going to go down, right? I just want to make that very clear because there's going to be a lot of people in the next, actually, probably not even the next couple of years, probably in like 3 years from now, we're going to have like a massive, like, this comet's coming and we're all going to die, like 5 years of this comet talk. It's not, uh, beloveds, that has never been pronounced to me, nor has it been pronounced to a great many other psychics. But science is going to want to tell you that's what's happening when in reality, that's why this show is called Pole Shift Reality, when in reality, it's when we are being extremely harmful to the earth, when we're sucking her juice and not giving back, when we're doing the same to one another, when we're doing it to ourselves. And the guides give this description of the coming pole shift. When the axis when the axis shifts, it will seem to earthlings as if the sun has not moved across the heavens from horizon to horizon. Although the sun will of course continue in its normal rotations. We here already see this event occurring, so we understand the implications. It will be well for those here to understand that it is not the end of the world, but a process of readjusting sunshine and rain, the sea and land. And so that some areas of the earth are refreshed and others put out to pasture, so to speak. There will be some seas where there is now land, and vice versa. Ice caps in new places, and balmy breezes at the poles. When the shift occurs, the souls then on earth will will be terrified and turn to God in their helpless fear. Although some will unfortunately re resume their nefarious ways. Yet, on the embers of devastation, civilization will arise a better one based on brotherhood. And thereafter, the return to earth of him who promised that when he came, sinners would be separated from their saints and peace would reign for 1,000 years. That time is not far away in the 21st century. That was a reading they recorded from Ruth. Last of all, the guides explained the cosmic significance of the pole shift. From their perspective, those who die will not be wiped out, but returned to spirit with opportunity for renewed spiritual growth. For this reason, we on this side are permanent to tell or permitted, I'm sorry. For this reason, we on this side are permitted to tell for the coming event, so that those in physical body will understand the principle and regard it in proper light. The passage from death to spirit and spirit to physical life is one and the same process. No more to be feared than sleeping and waking. Those who pass into spirit when the axis shifts will be free from the pain and misery, while those who escape death will have an interesting time of it in restoring order and reviving the sweetness of spiritual knowledge. Beloveds, the reason why I brought that up is because you might hear me occasionally talk about things, especially like from the reading of the yearly Akashic message of 2025. When I'm starting to throw out dates of like 2092, 2057, beloveds, a lot of us are not going to be here in this body of form when a lot of this happens. And we're already seeing how the younger generations, their focus is on such different things that is going to be needed as the focus. So instead of maybe cutting down the younger generations, maybe we can support these concepts of community, sustainability, uh, uh, spiritual growth, that kind of thing with the young people because they are going to be the ones that are going to be here, that are going to have to, okay, the world is drastically changing. We need to come together, sort it out, figure it out, create new science, create new this, create new that. When most of us, beloveds, we are the way we are in today's world right now, our present state, because then when we leave and we come back, we will already have the know-how and the abilities and the drive and desire to help those young people as they are now old to make it happen, to make the new earth into true being. Everything will come in and go out, come in and go out, and it is for the eventual new earth essence of life. So, if it be that when this kind of stuff happens, you have either already passed or you are fixing to go out or you are, you know, things happen. Do not fear because your mission is actually very clear. It's very clear to me that you're doing the work right now. You're doing the work right now. That by the time you pass and come back, a lot of this stuff will be in effect. And then you, beloveds, are the ones to get it really, truly up and going. Let's go. Especially when humans will come to understand the connection of all things by 2092. After much care that starts now. So if you start caring now, and then you happen to leave for a while, you're going to care even more so when you get back. And then that care is going to be what resonates out of you and through you. For consciousness is frequency, and frequency is consciousness. If you hit a level of consciousness, you do not lose that. You do not lose that. Regardless of the fog, that is not lost. You just forget. You'll remember. You'll remember because those who are Z's right now, the moment you come in as babies and they're your grandparents, they're going to tell you, don't forget, know who you are. This is going to be easy peasy. I can't wait. Easy peasy. And that's my sole job right now, by the way. It's the only job I have. Then there was, this part was interesting. Then there was, and I know this show is going quite long. I kind of had a feeling when I was trying to get through this material that it might go a bit long. um, so speaking of that, maybe I should just, no, I'm going to read this real quick. So there was a pamphlet, but it was about 30 pages pamphlet called The Seasons of Change that came out anonymously. Okay. And I think this was about the 1970s or something. And the reading in it was amazing. I need to actually find a copy of this so I can read it in its full. And it was an unnamed author, anonymous. Seasons of Changes, or Season of Changes, also gives hint at a trigger mechanism for the pole shift. The pole shift in the sun, S-U-N. But even that is not the final cause, for the sun itself will be influenced by the celestial bodies and conditions unknown to us at this time. This is one of the statements from that 30-page pamphlet. The shifting of the sun's, S-U-N, poles is taking place, as in an expansion within the sun itself. As to the effects, these have already affected the Earth, and those spots or storms upon the sun are those effects of the expansion and the switching of that surface and inner portions which are taking place. These affect the earth in str- these affect the earth in those strengths of rays and meltations which are taken into the atmosphere and bring about in part some of the changes in the weather cycles and the greater tendency towards warmth. For the orbit of the earth itself and the expansion of the sun in its luminous form becomes more intense to that application in the earth. Now you feel or think that the changes upon the earth are of such great magnitude and the effect of the earth itself. But the universe, my friends, is changing. Therefore, all that is within the universe will have its changes in its time and place. And those influences of the meteor, comet, and atmospheric nature, or a positive and negative flow, are affecting many bodies as well as the sun and the earth. They are a cleansing, a purging of the things which need to be cleansed. And these shall come from what seems to be the voids of space toward the earth and envelop such, even the sun, and make then such explosions of intensity and heat within the sun and its surface that in itself will greatly affect the atmosphere of the earth and the earth's reaction of movement in itself. Whew. The reason I'm brought that up it's because I love the SUN. And everybody talks about, as we said last week, all these sunbursts, burst in sun. Have you ever heard that there was actually two of them, two moons, two suns? Have you ever heard that the sun might actually split into the two, right? There was one at the beginning. There might be one again. Beginning and end happens a lot. So, some people refer to this as happening because of the sun. Some of it will say it's because of the earth. This is a natural process. Then others are going to bring in the whole cosmic origin of all of this. That all of a sudden we are now noticing Venus is coming into play, Mars is coming into play, Jupiter is coming into play. When I was born, they didn't even know about Pluto, I don't think. Like that was all new, right? All these cosmic planets, everything shifting and moving. I'm here to tell you, I have never witnessed that it was actually a big comet that hit the Earth. I've never been told that nor seen that in any psychic phenomena ever. When they all talk about, volcanoes, earthquakes, tornadoes. That is actually all true. And we are seeing that now. The Akashic reading for 2024 collective, the Akashic reading for 2025 collective. We have all been talking about this for quite some time, and now we are seeing it. What that is, beloveds. So we're not here to get so freaked out. What that is it's the earth is preparing itself. The earth is moving slowly. Now, if you think about like the Edgar Cayce map, which we will go into, especially on the Edgar Cayce life skill studies, if by chance, who knows, things might change, but if by chance the Great Lakes do end up pouring into the Mississippi River, well, beloveds, there's a reason why, like Kentucky and all that area is getting the tornadoes it is now. The earth will also prepare herself. If by chance down the road, parts of the East Coast, parts of the West Coast might kind of just fall into the ocean, There might be reasons why we are seeing the flooding, the fires, all of this now, because how my teacher and I put it, as if the earth is birthing a new one. It is in relation to the pole shift. And any woman who's given birth, you got a whole lot of different kind of changes and pains, whole lot of different things that happen, and you prepare your body, you prepare the environment, you prepare so much, and it's usually based on like, oh, okay, I'm feeling that now. We need to buy a recliner for me to sit in too. The earth is doing the same thing. If we are going to live in a new earth, well, one needs to be birthed. So we are going through this very slow, but yet sometimes a quick pinch of the spine as babies do when they're being, birthed or grown, let's say, or those birthing pains, those actual contractions that can happen for a woman for a very long time. Now put that into the time frame and scope of a earth. We could be in contractions for a long time, but it's to prepare for the upcoming, to prepare, to prepare, to prepare, to have us notice, witness, pay attention, care, as the Akashic would say. In 2092, humans will understand how all things are tied together, how all things are energy, how all things are tied together. By 2092, well, I have a feeling it's been a long time since humans thought that way, so it might take them even longer. So, lots of birth and pains, lots of contractions, lots of things happening. So, yes, I've never denied that we're not going to see a much, which we are seeing it now, a greater increase of tsunamis, volcanoes, tornadoes, storms. Um, we're going to see a vast amount of it. But we're human, and humans are ultimate. We know what to do. We know what to do. We know how to come together. And then I think I'm going to not read this last little bit, because I actually had talked about the native prophecies of all this, of the purging, the cleansing. So you have now heard different psychics talking about this cleansing, from earthly cleansing to soul cleansing, a soul cleansing process, to this is actually like cosmic cleansing. This is the sun cleansing. To I know I've covered, especially in the Akashic yearly message of 2024. It is somewhere in a playlist, and or I will, maybe just for this bit, I'll put it in here, put in all the different yearly Akashic messages leading into this. In that Akashic message of 2024, we talked greatly about the native prophecies, especially the Hopi prophecy, that they know of a cycle ending, beginning, a cycle ending, beginning, fire, ice, flood. They're telling us we've already experienced that. How many of you beloved souls have a feeling that you already experienced that? Fire, ice, flood. Cycles end, cycles begin. And now we're at a time that it's going to happen again. And so it could be a psychic telling you, it could be a native prophecy telling you, it could be other prophecies. Remember, the Egyptians even said, this happens. We have it recorded, right? It is based on us. Every single decent psychic, I will say, every single prophecy out there, so much of how catastrophic things could be is actually in the degree of where us humans are. So, because today, and there was kind of not mixed messages, it was just a lot for everybody to take in because that book is very extensive. If we are thinking, I'm going to hold these back up. If every prophecy, if every prophecy, good psychics, what have you, are talking about the energy of humans is going to dictate the and when I say energy, I mean the decisions we make, the unity we create, the care for the planet, the care that begins now. As I'm holding these up, we are of the same. There is no separation from each other, from the earth, from the galactic beings, to the cosmic planets, to all things. We are all together. We are all one. There is no separation. So if she is going through these birthing pains, if she is going to be going through, whew, yeah, what she's going to go through, then what are our roles in it? What are our roles in it? Think about when a woman is in labor. When a woman is in labor, we rally around her. We hold her hand. We rub her back. We help her breathe. We help her breathe. We help her breathe. We do all these things in love and care for this precious new arrival and the difficulty it is to naturally birth something. We all have the compassion and love and support and care throughout however many hours it takes. However many hours it takes, there's someone by her side. That's our job now. We do not want to see her magnetic field go to zero at the day of a quick fall. We want to see her magnetic field moving, flowing as it should be. That is always going to be solely based on us, on how well we are maintaining and using our magnetic field, our light, our little SUNs that can shine from within, right? Based on that, based on the decisions we make, based on the care we show her. So, my biggest message today, as I kind of sloppily went through this a bit, there was so much, folks. Oh my goodness, this book is just so good. Is that last week we heard from Edgar Cayce saying, don't worry about this. Don't fear it. Don't fear when you're hearing everything out there, a bunch of people that, like I said, they're already talking about the timeline shifts, the great shift, the great separation. Um, like I said, and probably about what we're in 2025, probably by the end of 2027, 2028, you're going to hear nonstop about some comet that's coming. I'm not worried about that because that has never been on the game plan. All of it, I am not saying it's even propaganda. What I'm saying is that the greats, even the native prophecies that, yes, said the great time of purification, the big events will be going on. But they also know humans live through it all. We've already done this. So let us not fear. Let us not fear. Let us raise our children well, raise these younger generations so that they understand there's greater things to focus on than what maybe generations past did. That was the whole point of this, is to let us work on our internal vibration that goes outward. I'll end with this. Consciousness is frequency. Frequency is consciousness. The level of consciousness frequency that someone obtains creates the vibration internal that then is attached to that torrid field that is then projected outward. That same field that is attached to Mother Earth's field. All is energy. So the more that we obtain higher consciousness frequency, automatically our vibrations are higher, and we are automatically introducing not only others to different vibration, higher vibration, and that it is attainable and accessible to those who choose. We are also then helping Mother Earth sustain herself through care and love with our own vibrations that are attached to hers. It's like rubbing her back, helping her breathe, telling her how beautiful and wonderful she is, even if she wants to hit you during that delivery, right? Showing her so much love through the vibrations that we hold based on our conscious frequency. So therefore the magnetic field does not drop to zero when a lot of this stuff occurs. And other than that, easy peasy. Easy peasy. Easy peasy, nothing to it. You've already done it. Most people here, you've done it at least twice. Some of us, we've done it all the times. Some of us, that was the reason you came. Some of us, that was the reason you came, is that you witnessed how catastrophic humans can actually make this cycle ending, because it's based on us, how catastrophic humans can make it. We witnessed it from somewhere else and went, oh, geez, we got to go down and help, because Mother Earth does not need to go through anything like that. It's all based on us. So I love you all. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Next week, I might be a little bit more in this book again, just because this book is so good, you guys. Once again, if this is a topic that you are really into, don't wait for me to go through this book extensively, sometime around the end of 2025, beginning of 2026. Don't wait for me. There's a link in the description. Go purchase it on Amazon. That is my Amazon affiliate link, because it is damn good. This is such a good book. So good. I am so proud of John White. Thank you, sir. Wherever you are. If you are still here, John White. Next week, though, I'm going to give you the Akashic message directly about this. I'm also then going to give you, how do we walk through it? Because regardless if it's a slow or a dramatic fall, we need to know how to walk through this. This is from our gardening. This is from our sustainability. This is to navigate the differences in energies. All of that stuff. How do we do this? How do we actually do what Courtney's asking us to do in being the light when apparently a whole lot of shifting's going on? So that's going to be next week, with an Akashic message as to out of how I receive messages from them, because every reader is going to be they're going to have them focused on something different. Mine will always be about the earth, like always about the earth, when others it might be more science or psychological or what have you. Readers We'll always get messages that are pertained to that form of reader. So we're also going to receive that next week. What the Akashic says solely about the pole shift, because they clearly told us, and they clearly told us in January, the cycle will end in 32 years. That number can shift based on us. Remember, 2025 will begin the process of change. So this whole pole shift conversation, we're going to keep going back to. We're going to keep going into the process has started. What are you doing about it? How you living? Are you shining? Are you getting them vibes up with your conscious frequency? Isn't it going to be great? And I saw that Jackie J came in, Miss Kim came in, I saw that Scotty Boy came in, Seeker, Chloe, good to be with you all. Oh, Kim just said I've been out grounding. Yes. Beautiful. We are definitely going to be talking about all this stuff. Yes. So, beloveds, if you're interested in that book, the link is below. If you're interested also in Edgar Cayce on the Millennium, which we're going to get into right after we finish up Edgar Cayce on reincarnation, do note that at the beginning of this show, I talked about a change in my schedule because of spring and summer and all the extras that happen in spring and summer in one's life. I will be rotating, either doing Edgar Cayce on Wednesday and then a message the next Friday for us here. And then Edgar, I'll be rotating through because to keep up with essentially 3 shows a week is going to be very difficult in the spring and summer. So, but either way, that means you can catch up on all the playlists. Have a great Friday, everybody. Once again, be with me and Lucky tomorrow night on his channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Lucky Stone 888. It's going to be a fabulous conversation. Be together. It'll be live, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the sun. Get some on your face. Don't be scared of the sun. Please don't be scared of the sun. The sun. It's the way in and the way out. Love y'all. Bye, guys.